I have chosen the novel Paper Towns by John Green, and its genre is mystery and is made for youths in particular, but it is suitable for everyone. And it takes place in a fictional subdivision called Jefferson Park, which is located in Orlando in Florida. And the novel focuses on the protagonist and narrator Quentin, which is also called for Q, and his neighbor Margot Ruth Spiegelman. In this novel, Margot Ruth Spiegelman shows a connection to the title of the novel, Paper Towns, and she compares herself to a paper girl. Most of the time, she is spending her time at the top of the tallest building in the city, where she looks down on society while she thinks about how fake and unreal she is. An idea that everyone is into, but is not real. She decides to run away from home to a place called Aglow, which is in New York. This place was actually originally a fictional place, which was written on maps to protect against copyright infringement, but the place became real once someone built an Aglow general store. Margot explains in the novel a place where paper creation became real. Maybe the paper cut out of a girl could start becoming real also. And with this said, Margot thinks that if she escaped to a paper town that became real, then she, the paper girl, might become real as well. The novel starts with a bit of background information about Quentin and Margot's relationship when they were kids and describes their relationship in modern day. Quentin Jacobson, which is also called for Q, is the main character in the story, and he is a very quiet and cautious and silent guy. He doesn't really make that much out of himself, and he is also very calm. And in the story, he is searching for the love of his life, Margot, after her disappearance in the story. Quentin and Margot has a long past full of adventures, but as they grew up, they started to lose more and more contact. They grew up together and were best friends from a very young age. One day they were walking in a park. They encountered a dead body laying on the ground, and Quentin describes how they both reacted differently. "He's dead," Margot said, as if I couldn't tell. I took 2 small steps backward, and as I took those 2 steps backward, Margot took 2 equally small and quiet steps forward. "His eyes are open," she said. "We gotta go home," I said. "I thought you closed your eyes when you were dead," she said. "Margot, we gotta go home and tell." And this scene illustrates how Quentin always is the careful one, while Margot is the wild and spontaneous one. Quentin shows us how dedicated he really is when he decided to go and search for Margot after she disappears. And this entire book describes how Margot herself has become a mystery, and how determined Quentin is to solve it. Close to the end of the book, Quentin convinces his friends to join him on the final quest to find Margot. And this means that they have to skip their own graduation to take a road trip across the country. In the rising action, Margot challenges Q to help her with a mysterious 12-part plan that will take all night. Q willingly accepts since he has been in love with Margot ever since they were kids. Over the course of the night, Margot sends dead catfish to 3 people who used to call her friends and boyfriend with a note Q wrote saying, "Your friendship with Margot Roach Spiegelman sleeps with the fishes." To deliver all of these fish, they have to break and enter into several buildings and cars. At one house, Margot finds her best friend sleeping with her, which is now her ex, boyfriend. They continue on their quest, and after Margot does everything that she has planned for so long, she offers Q a chance to seek his revenge out on someone else. Q then chooses to prank the school bully that has tormented him and his friends for so long by beating off one of his eyebrows. And once all the pranking and plans are true, the last thing Margot has Q to do is to help her break into Zero just for the fun of it. To get past all of the Zero security measures and into the park before a guard stops them and suggests that they leave the premises. By the time they get home, it is early morning, and school is starting in a few hours. The inciting incident begins when Margot isn't at school the next morning or the next few days. Q doesn't think anything of it until he finds out that Margot has run away, and he knows that Margot leaves clues for people to find her, every time she has run away, so he thinks that she has chosen him to find her, like she chose him that night to help her. Margot Ruth Spiegelman is also one of the main characters in the story. She is Quentin's childhood best friend and crush, and she is being seen as an adventurous teenager, even though she has always been the adventurous one, and she is also the mystery in the novel. She is the girl who loved mystery so much that she became one, is a quote from Quentin very early in the novel. Um, in the text, Margot says that that's when I decide that I'm going to do one more thing, one big thing, and then leave. And then it's about to happen, and the plan has come together really well. But then I just decide to leave. So Margot decides to run away from her hometown, and she has been using a lot of time to plan her great escape. And she kept writing her plan over and over again in her notebook to make it perfect. She used years to write almost 70 pages of an extremely detailed and describing plan, exactly how she would leave her hometown. But when she finds out that her boyfriend has been cheating on her with her best friend, and her friends have been keeping secrets, she rewrites her plan and leaves the town immediately. She runs away from home, leaves Florida behind, and hopes for a new beginning, and she disappears without telling a single soul, showing how adventurous and fearless she really is. And in the beginning of the story, just before her disappearance, she also shows off her courageous side when she brings Quentin on a wild night of pranks, blackmail, and breaking into SeaWorld as well. The climax of the book happens when Q finally figures out that Margot is in the paper town of Agloe in New York. Q finds that a paper town is a non-existent town on a map that mapmakers created to see if people were copying their work. He notices that a person commented on an Omnictory, which is a website much like Wikipedia, saying that the population in Agloe will be one on the day after the boys graduated. But what really tipped him off was the off-capitalization that Margot would use regularly. So, in an instant, Q decides to not go to graduation and road trip all the way to New York to find Margot with Rudder, Lucy, and Ben, which is his best friends. The 23-hour road trip brings all of them together as they race to find Margot. In the following action, they finally found Margot. She is completely shocked that they have actually found her, and she is also being really rude to them. Lacey, her best friend, gets upset at Margot's reaction and leaves quickly with Rudder and Ben, which lets Q alone to talk to her. Margot explains why she didn't want to stay in Orlando anymore and how her wanderlust has become too strong. She explains to him that she already had her runaway plan finished, but when she found out that her boyfriend Jace was cheating on her, she chose to execute her plan earlier than graduation. Q pleads with her to come back to Orlando and offers her to live with him and his family, but Margot says that her future is elsewhere and not in Orlando, and that's when she asks Quentin to become a traveling partner. But Quentin knew his future wasn't with Margot, regardless of how much he hoped it would be. I believe that this story has many different themes, and it is up to the reader to decide which theme that is most suitable for you. Identity, searching, friendship, and obsession are three themes that comes to my mind after reading this book. Identity searching because it seems that Margot wants to find herself, and she can't do it in the city that she lives in, so she has to explore everything to find out who she really is, and friendship because of Quentin and all his friends, and that they're very helpful to try to find Margot, and of course obsession because of Quentin's obsession with Margot. But um, also, the theme of the novel is getting wrapped up in a mystery of things or idea of something. Q had been completely taken by Margot since they first met, but he really had no relationship with her. He loved the idea of who she represented and all the mystery surrounding her, and he loved this idea that was supposed to be Margot, the superior persona that Margot couldn't really hold up the whole time. He had spent his last month of senior year, his prom, and even his graduation trying to find Margot because he had this idea that Margot wanted it, and that was why she was so mysterious. He finally realized, though, that Margot wasn't a mystery or the idea that he had held so superior to the rest. He finally saw that she was in fact a real person that made mistakes, and he was so wrapped up in his mystique surrounding Margot that he forgot what reality was. In the resolution, Q and Margot talk about how their adventures might have ended when they were younger if they had stayed in touch, and about how they still love each other now, or rather the idea of each other. So the book ends with Margot and Q saying goodbye and promise to keep in touch. I also found the use of metaphor in the novel. It's a paper town. I mean, look at it. Q. Look at all those cul-de-sacs, those streets that turn in on themselves, all those houses that were built to fall apart, and all those paper people living in their paper houses, burning the future to stay warm. All the paper kids drinking beer some bought for a theme at the paper convenience store. Everyone demented with a mania of owning things, all the things paper thin and paper frail, and all the people too. Margot uses metaphors for a way of thinking in order to create the mystique that surrounds her. Paper Towns is definitely a book I would recommend for youths, and especially if you like mysteries and love. In my opinion, the best thing about this book was the discussion of identity, and the book focuses on each character's different idea of Margot, and eventually their realizations that she is just a person like them. Quentin's best friend Ben was a character I disliked throughout the most part of the book, with his um der- with his derogatory language and backstabbing personality. However, I think he added drama to the plot, and most readers can relate to having a friend like him. But this is my favorite book, and it is also a movie that I like to watch, so I would definitely recommend it for other youths.